Okay, good morning. Hi. Can you see me? All right, so good morning. This morning we're making two things before I go to the gym. Fire cider, which is good for colds and it's good for weight loss. It's delicious on salads. My daughter taught me about this fire cider a couple years ago, and we do it every year. And coffee, of course. All right, so keep me company. All right, so these are the ingredients for the fire cider. Peeled garlic. I bought some that are already peeled. Peeled garlic. Onions. Ginger, which I happen to have in the refrigerator. And apple cider vinegar. And the objective is to ferment these items for a month, and then after you ferment the items for a month, they're ready to consume. You can consume them by the teaspoonful or tablespoonful. I usually put them on my salad, but it's delicious. And it's good for you, the probiotics. All right, so the first thing we do is we open up this apple cider vinegar. This is my mason jar. I believe it's a 80-ounce mason jar. And this is a 32-ounce jar of vinegar, apple cider vinegar. Put that in there. One jar. I'm going to put 2 jars. I use this apple cider vinegar in my locks as well. I think it's really good at detoxifying skin, whether it's on your scalp. Put all of this garlic in here to ferment. I love the taste of apple cider vinegar with garlic, so I put more garlic than I do anything else. Now the thing about the garlic cloves is that they're going to turn blue while they're fermenting. That's normal. Okay, so now I'm going to put my onions. You can put them in there with the peel on, but I like to take the peel off and just cut them in half. Some people do fire cider vinegar concoction with peppers, with jalapeno peppers, and those little red peppers, which is good, which is, I suppose, where you get the fire part of fire cider, the peppers. And the original recipe calls for these items and horseradish. But I like to keep it simple, just ginger, onions, and again, you can put this in there with the peel on. I like to take the peels off. Now my eyes are watering because of the onions. And ginger can be tough. This ginger has been in my fridge for a minute, so. And I don't take all the peeling off the ginger because there's knuckles and crevices. Look at me, I'm crying. You see the tears? From the onions, it's strong. Oh, get a napkin. Ah, you guys have to help. Leave a comment below on what to do with the tears. I think I'm supposed to put matches in my mouth, but who uses matches anymore? But anyway, yeah, we put the ginger in here, and the ginger is really, really good for you. It's good for your health. So, ooh, it's biting me. Oh. Cover up those onions because they're attacking me. So yes, the fire cider is good for you. It helps and it aids with weight loss and digestion. And again, the fermenting aspect of this process is what's so good for your digestion and your gut. I've had some friends have issues with their digestion and their gut, and it happens more frequently during the holidays because we consume so much. Okay, there goes one ginger. Oh my gosh. Ah. And I had glasses on. So can you imagine how strong this is? More ginger. Ouch. So ginger comes in fingers. Alright? And so what I'm doing is I'm struggling to cut around the fingers and the knuckles. My goal is to grow ginger in my garden. I love it. Ginger. Throw that in there. Here's one more. This one I don't like because it's like a little blue, you see? I keep it in the fridge so long that sometimes it kind of changes on me. But I'm probably going to throw this in the fermenting anyway. My objective is to, after a month of fermenting these items, remove the items from the apple cider vinegar. I save the bottles, put them back in the bottles, and use them as needed. I'll use them in salads. That's the only dressing I'll use on my salad. Fermented apple cider vinegar with olive oil. Delish. I'll take a tablespoon with some water and some lemon juice in the morning and in the evening, just to regulate my sugar. I'll take some if I feel a cold coming on with some vitamin C, and it's delicious. You would think that it would be really strong because of the vinegar, but it's not. It's actually palatable. So you can have a tablespoon with a little bit of warm water in the morning, and in the evening, like a cup, and it'll do wonders for your system. Last piece of ginger. So this is what we have. We have our fire cider fermenting. So again, the garlic cloves are going to turn blue when you do this. Don't panic, it's fine. They're going to fall apart, everything's going to fall apart, and it's going to be delicious. And it's really, really good for your digestion, the probiotics. It's the best thing to do for you and your family, especially during the winter. Because again, if you feel something coming on, take a little fire cider. Research it, fire cider. And you'll be fine. I made a mess, I started crying. But I just wanted to come up here and show you how my daughter taught me how to make fire cider. It's really important. During the holidays, there's a lot of tradition um, in all different religions. There are traditions in the Latin community, in the African American community, in the Hebrew community, in the Asian community. And I love the things that are prepared during that time with those specific cultures. For instance, in the Latin community, coquito is prepared during the holidays, which is a eggnog of sorts with Bacardi or white Hennessy in it. Delicious, delicious. In the Latin community, there's also sofrito that is prepared, which is a combination of herbs and spices, onions, garlics, peppers, salts, cilantro, all mixed up in the blender and put like in a jar and distributed amongst the family to help season the beans and the food. You could also buy sofrito and recaito in the frozen section of the supermarket, but I like it fresh, and usually I get to score it during the holidays because that's when a lot of people from Puerto Rico make a big batch because they know they're going to be cooking a lot. Pernil is roasted frequently during the holidays, and there's this delicious delicacy that I love called pasteles, which are prepared during the holidays in the Latin community. And it takes a while to do. And it's a pastry, sort of, or it's like a tamale. It's like a tamale, yeah, I'll call it that. And it's prepared with grated either plantains or grated yuca. And it's also prepared with cooked meats on the inside of it. The meats can be pork, the meats can be chicken, it can be vegetarian now. I've seen vegetarian pasteles, and usually the families make them by the dozen. So there could be a night where 100, 200, 300 were made, and it's usually a pastele crew. So the ladies and gentlemen get together with their aprons and their head wraps and their gloves and their graters or their blenders, and they make it a day or make it a week. And then by the holidays, there's several dozen prepared, which are typically wrapped in plantain bananas and paper and roped by the dozen, and they're distributed by the dozen. So I usually get my 1 or 2 dozen from family and friends because I don't know how to make it. But that's something that my husband enjoys every Christmas. His mom used to make them, and we lost her years ago. So I try to keep the tradition up. She used to make both sofrito, and pasteles during the holidays. So I used to go to her house when we went over to see the nieces and nephews and score my jar of sofrito, which was usually put in an olive jar, a Goya olive jar, and my 2 dozen pasteles, pork, plantain, because they can be made with chicken and they can be made with grated yuca. It's a dying tradition because it's so difficult to do. I'd love to learn how to do it and show you guys how to do it just to keep the tradition alive. I'm African American, my husband's Puerto Rican, and obviously my 2 children are mixed. And I suspect that if I don't figure out how to do it, it's possible that the tradition will, fade away, which would be tragic because it's delicious. After you get your 2 dozen, they can be frozen for, I believe, up to 6 months. You take out 2 and boil it for about an hour with some salt. And then you take the paper off and you have 2 tamales, sort of patties, which are like cylinder shape. And you put them on the plate with some hot sauce and some rice and some beans and bread, and it's delicious, and salad. So it's really a meal that's prepped, that's delicious, that you could just pull out of the freezer and pop in some boiling water with some rice and beans for up to 6 months. So it really, really is delicious during the holidays, but it's also so helpful and delicious beyond. So another thing that I speak of these things because another thing that my daughter and I have started is the holiday fire cider fermentation process. So that's why I came to you this morning, because the holidays are upon us, and I have done my fire cider, which will ferment for a month. It's a mason jar. I'm going to come to you and show you how it's doing every so often. It will ferment for a month. Again, the garlic is going to turn blue, which is fine. But the reason I believe we do it during this time of the year is because January, February, March, that's when everyone's recovering from the holidays and everyone's in salad mode. My sisters and I do the Daniel fast, where we're just eating salads and brown rice and beans and drinking a lot of lemon water, just cleansing, starting the year off right. The fire cider really helps. Also, typically throughout the country, a lot of people are fighting the flu during January, February, March. Fire cider is our flu shot. We don't do the flu shot. We just take a couple shots of fire cider. When you do your research regarding fire cider, you will see different recipes. The reason I don't put peppers in my fire cider is because of GERD. Cloves. Sorry, I have a low battery. I don't know how many. Yeah, the reason I don't put peppers in my fire cider is because of heartburn and GERD. But the peppers and the horseradish are the two ingredients that I do not put in my fire cider that are typically in fire ciders. And usually people grate the items. They don't just cut it up or peel it and throw it in the apple cider vinegar. Now, apple cider vinegar is a staple in fire cider. Everyone doesn't use Bragg's, but I have Bragg's all over my house. I have at least 2 bottles in every bathroom because I like to rinse my scalp with it. I like to rinse my son's scalp with apple cider vinegar, because sometimes when he comes home from the barbershop, I see like little, ashy areas in the back of his neck, and it disappears when I use the apple cider vinegar on his scalp. So I try to do that. I use apple cider vinegar in my locks, which are about 6 months old. And I love them because I'm growing them freeform with the extension 2-strand twists, and they're beautiful. They're growing beautifully. There's a couple of them that are merging, see, which is fine. I don't mind. You can merge. If you love each other, stay together. Look, see, here's another 2 that merge together, which is fine. I don't mind. If you love each other, stay together. So, apple cider vinegar is big. I buy them 5-6 jars at a time. They're usually about $7. One year, I couldn't find them anywhere. I couldn't find them in Walmart, couldn't find them in Publix, but you know where I found them? In Target. So I bought the last 10 jars. But yeah, my blood pressure goes up a little bit when I can't find them anywhere. So every so often, just pick yourself up a jar of apple cider vinegar and just keep it in the house. It's great for your skin. It's great for your hair. You need to make your fire cider every year just to combat colds and make your salads taste delicious and help you lose weight. Yeah, this is really good to have in the house. And I think that the mother is the aspect of the apple cider vinegar that really benefits us all in all areas that we use it. But if you do get some that doesn't have the mother, it's not the worst thing in the world. The pH balance on your scalp and your skin and your insides is what really, really makes a difference. Sometimes I clean my meats with it and cook with it. But typically when I make my pernil and my other meats, I use the white vinegar. I also use white vinegar to clean my house. So vinegar is a big part of our lives here. So, but yeah, I just wanted to come to you guys and share my fire cider recipe. Very simple. Garlic, apple cider vinegar, onions, and ginger, fermented for a month. After a month, remove all of the solid parts of the concoction so that you're left with fermented apple cider vinegar that you could either put back in the jars for periodic use when you want, or just leave in your mason jar, and it does not have to be refrigerated. You just leave it on your counter fermenting. My sister made, was it sambuca? I think it was sambuca, which is another fermented concoction that takes time, that you could do from home. I've seen on Instagram pickles, fermented cucumbers. It's good for you. It's a probiotic that's really good for you. So, you know, it's so simple that it's not required for you to spend a lot of money, and it's so simple that you should have it. It's so simple and easy that no home should be without it. Okay, so this is Splendid Bonnie coming to you this morning before I hit the gym, sharing my fire cider. Get you some. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave some ideas about how to cut up onions without crying. I'm sorry about all the tears. And I'll see you soon.